I'm about to show you how to apply foundation. This is going to be super beginner friendly and step by step, but never fear, if you've been applying foundation for years, there's going to be something in here for you as well. I'm sure you can relate. If you are someone that wears foundation, there has been a moment where you have felt so frustrated because you can't get your foundation to look just right. Maybe you've applied foundation and it ended up looking super cakey and flaky, or you've applied foundation and you just can't get it to look less streaky. Well, you're in luck, because I'm going to be showing you how to apply foundation with different kinds of tools. Some of these tools will work better for some, and other tools will work better for others. Now, before we get into the different ways of applying foundation, I have to refer to Goldilocks, because this process is so much like Goldilocks trying out the different types of porridge. You know, where she tried one and it was too hot, and she tried another and it was too cold, and then she tried a third and it was just right. Well, that's exactly the same with foundation or makeup in general. You're gonna have to do trial and error to see which one works the best for you. But I can give you the techniques and the tools to test out so that you can see which one works better. So the first tool that we're going to use is a beauty blender or a beauty sponge. Now, I absolutely love a beauty blender because it's super beginner friendly. What you would usually do with this is you would wet it under some water, and then the sponge is going to expand. Now, once it's expanded and it's soaked with water, you're going to push out all of the excess water. You can also wrap it in a little towel to make sure that everything is out, so that the sponge is just damp and not completely wet. Okay, this is going to make blending so much easier. I'm going to be using the Catrice Trueskin foundation. This is a lovely foundation that you can get at the drugstore, and in the description I typed out a little paragraph just to tell you more about it, because obviously this video is not about products, it's about applying foundation. So if you want to know more, go to the description and read all about it. What I usually do is I put a little bit of it on my hand like this. I know some people don't like to put foundation on their hands because of hygiene, but I figure I in any case use my fingers on my face a lot if I apply creams and all of that, so I just make sure that my hands are clean. Then I'm going to take the beauty blender and I'm just going to dab it on that foundation, and then I'm going to start dabbing it onto my face. Now, this is super important. You don't want to drag a beauty blender because that's going to make all of the product just move around on your face. So you just do little dabbing motions like this. So it's almost like you're pushing it down and picking it up, pushing it down, picking it up. This is going to really embed the foundation onto your face. What you would do with the beauty blender is you would complete these motions all over your skin until it's everywhere, you know, on your forehead, over your eyes, if you don't have any eyeshadow on already, over your eyes, over your nose, over your chin, everywhere. And it's just these little motions over and over again. If you don't want to put the foundation on your hand, you can also put it straight onto the beauty blender, or you can put a little bit on your finger and then you can just dab it on your skin like this. Now, before we go any further, let's quickly chat about some of the pros and the cons of using a beauty blender. Let's do the pros list first. I love using a beauty blender because I feel like it gives a very flawless and airbrushed application. That just kind of means like it doesn't look like you have foundation sitting on top of your skin. It kind of looks like it's embedded with your skin, and like your skin just looks very healthy. Then I also feel like the beauty blender is super beginner friendly because literally all you're doing is just up and down on your face. Then using a beauty blender is also super fast, so if you're in a rush, then this is a good option to choose. And then last but not least, if you have sensitive skin or big pores on your face, or maybe you struggle with flakiness on your skin, then this is the best option to go for because it really embeds the makeup into the skin, so it's going to cover those pores, and it's also not going to disrupt any flakiness on your skin. Now let's look at some of the cons. This little thing soaks up so much foundation, it's not even funny. So if you want to make sure that you're not using a lot of product, then this probably isn't the way to go. Then it can also be a little bit more work because of course you need to wet it first, push out all of the water and all of that. So it's happened so many times where I've come to sit down and do my makeup, and then I realize I have not wet my beauty blender. So then I have to get up and go do that whole rigmarole. And then last but not least, you have to replace this little buddy after every 2 months because it can hoard a lot of bacteria. You're wetting it all the time, it's damp all the time, and it's touching your skin all the time. So it's really difficult to clean, to deep clean this beauty blender to make it spotless. So you need to replace it every 2 months. The next option is to use a foundation brush. Now, a foundation brush is a flat brush where all of the bristles come together like this. If you're using a brush like this, again, you'll take the foundation on your hand or on your brush, or you'll dot it on your face, and then you will apply it to your face. As you can see here, I'm doing little sweeping motions. This helps to also embed the foundation into your skin. You can also do bigger sweeping motions backwards and forwards like this, or you can do longer streaks like this. I find that with this brush, the little motions work better because then, like I said, you really embed the foundation into your skin. So with this one, you don't have to just dab and pick up, dab and pick up. You can do little sweeping motions. So it's almost like a dot and drag, dot and drag, dot and drag, dot and drag. Again, you will make sure that you just put the foundation all over your face and that you don't miss any areas. So what are the pros of this brush? Number one, this is really nice to use because it doesn't soak up so much product like a beauty blender does. And then number two, if you're someone that likes more full coverage foundation, this is a much better option, and you'll be able to achieve a more full coverage base. Then this is also great for people who have big pores because you can really embed the makeup in your pores by doing these little pushing and dragging motions. Then the cons of this brush is that if you're a beginner, you can easily still leave streaks on the face. I feel like this brush doesn't always look as flawless as a beauty blender would. Then you could also use a kabuki brush or a buffing brush. Now, essentially, these are two different brushes, but you would use them the same way. So I'm going to demonstrate using the buffing brush. Again, I'm taking some foundation. You can do that in whichever way you prefer. And then I'm going to start doing dabbing motions again on my face. Or you can do circular motions. Usually what I like to do is first dab it on and then buff it out. You could also do short little strokes like this. So it's almost like a dabbing motion, but it just has a little drag to it as well. Now, if you opt for a brush like this, you need to know that this is going to take more technique, okay? This is not as beginner friendly as a beauty blender, but once you have it down, it's super simple. The second thing is this little brush does not love texture. So if you have a lot of texture on your skin, maybe you have a very flaky skin, these buffing motions is going to disrupt those flaky bits on your skin, and it's going to make your face look more flaky. And then the third thing is that these little stippling motions, if you don't know what you're doing, hence why you'll need more technique, can leave little dots on the face, also making it appear like your face has more texture. Some of the pros, however, of this brush is that you can get a super full coverage look, even more full coverage than using a foundation brush. This is also nice because it can be used for different things. So you can use this for blending out your contour or your highlight. It doesn't have to just be used for foundation. Just as a side note, if you're afraid you're going to forget what these brushes look like, I have a free guide in the description below that you can download that's just going to give you a little bit of an idea of what brushes you need and what they are used for. Now, if I had to choose one of these methods, my Goldilocks moment is definitely the beauty blender. This is because it's super beginner friendly and because I like a more natural looking base, and this gives that to me. But the ultimate method, and this is one that I always use on my clients, is going in with a brush first and then with the beauty blender. This means you can still get that full coverage look and the flawless application. You're welcome to let me know which one you prefer and why you prefer it. We can also learn from each other, and if maybe you have a tip for someone that I didn't give in this video, they can learn from that as well. Now, what good does it do you to know how to do your foundation if you don't have the rest of the puzzle pieces? Now, seeing as this is my first ever YouTube video, I don't have a next video to direct you to, but as soon as my next video goes live, I will pin it down in the comments below for you to watch.